guys, how are you? So today I figured, you know what, my wife's gone with my 3 daughters and my son's upstairs sleeping. So I figured, you know what, it's time to do a brew video. This is my wife's favorite, Coopers Mexican Cerveza. So while my wife's away, I'm going to make her some beer. I've got lots of my favorites, the Coopers IPA, English Bitter, I think I've got a dark ale going downstairs. Anyways, I'm still new to this whole game, and what I figure is we can all learn together. So I'm going to show you what I've done. I've been successful thus far with all, this is my batch number 10, I think. So yeah, I've been successful thus far and had some great beer. I was really surprised the first batch that came out. I didn't anticipate it being that good, but man oh man was I blown away at how good the beer was, and all my friends are giving me rave reviews. So anyways, I'm going to basically get started here. I've got everything all set up. I've done, I don't have a tripod, so I'm going to try and move the camera around just so you guys can see everything that I'm doing. I'll do my best. So what I'm doing here is just heating up another kettle of hot water. And what I'm going to use that for, I'm going to use that so that I can clean out the can once I open it up and pour the extract into my brew bucket. Okay, so like I say, everything's already sanitized. What I like to do is, here I'll kind of show you, I like to keep everything covered up. So everything's basically that I need under there. It's on a towel, sanitized, and under some paper towels. And here's a couple other things here. So under there I've got a little bowl that I'm going to use to measure out my sugar and weigh it. And this is just about 4 liters of nice hot water that I'm going to use to mix the extract. So again, what I'm going to be using today, I'm going to be using dextrose. It's 700 grams of dextrose and also 500 grams of Mutton's Light dry malt extract from your local homebrew store. Okay, so I've got my brew pail all set out here. I like to work with it in the sink, so I'll give you guys a look here. I work with it in the sink. I mean, I make sure that my spigot's closed, obviously, but I like to work with it in the sink. It's all sanitized, and if I have to use some cool water around it to cool it down, to get it down to yeast pitching temperature, I can do that. And yeah, so try and get things set up here and so that you can see. Okay, so on top of the can, the brewer's yeast. We'll set that aside for later. And what I like to do is, I know the cans look so nice, but I like to peel the paper off. And the reason I do that is so that when I open it, after I've soaked it in some hot water, just to sanitize it, the paper doesn't end up going in my brew bucket, in my wort. Okay. So there we go, I do my best to get it all off. So what I like to do is, this is the end we're going to open, it's the bottom. So I like for it to heat up and get away from the lid so that it's all off the lid. But what I like to do first is put this in the water so that it sanitizes. So I'm going to dip this right in the pot. Now I pre-boiled this water and then I took it off the heat. So I'll let it sit there for a minute. I have another one going here. This is what I'm going to use to clean it out. Now as far as instructions go, I just kind of toss them out. My inspiration, my guide, the person I've learned the most from is Craig, if you want to look him up on CraigTube. Thank you, Craig, for all your awesome videos. They're very educational. I like the simplicity that he uses, and that's what I'm going to try and put in. I don't want to get into really complicated brewing and this and that. I know that it can be cool as far as getting into all grains and mini mashes and this and that, but for right now, I'm enjoying doing the extract. I got 4 small kids running around this house, so I have to be fast. I can brew a batch in like 40 minutes, have it going. It's been in there long enough. The lid's all sanitized that I'm going to open. So what I'm going to do is flip this upside down. And now I'm going to leave it in the hot water for like, I don't know, at least 10 minutes while I get things ready here. And what I like to do is just put a paper towel over top. Okay, so I hope I got this iPad all set up now. It's fallen at least 5 times. Make sure, I need a tripod. This is makeshift. It's sitting on a bucket with stuff surrounding it so that it actually sits in place. Okay, so what I did was I put a paper towel over top of the sanitized end that I'm going to open, just so it keeps it covered and this, stuff can't get at it. I like to be a little bit anal about sanitizing. You don't have to be, but I haven't had any issues yet, and I don't want to have any bad batches. So I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. So in this bucket here, I've got a whole bunch of dextrose, or corn sugar, brewing sugar, whatever you want to call it. My wife got these buckets at the bulk barn, a buck a pail. Now, it's a great pail to store stuff in. I used it to start some mead wine. Anyways, it's a whole other story. They seal really good because there was liquid in here. So anyways, here's my corn sugar. What I have is a digital scale. I like to be a little bit accurate when it comes to the sugars, just so I know exactly what I'm putting in. So, like I said, I had a bowl down here that was sanitized, rinsed, and now is dry. I don't like to put my corn sugar in wet bowls because it makes a bit of a mess. I also have a measuring cup that I'm going to use to scoop the corn sugar out of the big bucket here. Now, I already know that I have 500 grams of light dry malt extract, so I don't need to measure that up. I do, however, need to measure my corn sugar. So, put the bowl on there. There we go. Yeah, we want it in grams, so make sure that's set up and it's zeroed. Okay. So then I'm just going to scoop out a bunch of dextrose. Oh, I got a clump there. I'll have to break that up. Okay, so we're going to do 700 grams of corn sugar. Now, again, I heard Craig say this once. It might be a little bit much for you guys, but I'm liking what's coming out, and I'm usually every batch that comes out at the end right around 1.040 for gravity for starting, and I like that. It's about 4.5 to 5% alcohol. So 625 and 695. And there's 705. Just a little bit extra, just in case you. What I like to start with. Now I'm going to try and get this camera set up, so give me a minute. I'll get the camera set up to you so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm back. This is about the best setup I can get. Again, forgive me, I don't have a tripod yet. I'll get better at this as I go. Again, this is my first time, so I'm taking my tips and hints from Craig, and hopefully it turns out good. Hopefully, Craig, you see this. Again, thank you very much, dude, for all your help and your inspiration. So, like Craig always says, if you're going to be making a homebrew, you got to be drinking a homebrew. So this is an IPA I did a couple weeks ago. This bottle here, I don't know what happened, but the lid didn't quite seal properly, so anyways, I figured I better drink it first. Oh yeah, that's good. This is one I boiled in with some hops. I used Cascade hops, boiled in for like 3 minutes, and then the Coopers IPA. It's only 12:30 here and I'm already drinking a beer. My goodness. Haven't even had lunch yet. But that don't matter, I'll go back to drinking coffee later. Okay, so cheers guys. Okay, so I hope I got it all set up here and you guys can see everything. I'll try to stay off to the side so that you can see really good. Sorry for the lighting. Try that. And that'll work a little better. Yeah, it brightens my face up a little bit. Anyways, no matter. Okay, so here we go. We got our brew bucket. And I have my spoon here. And what I like to do is I just put my lid off to the side. And you don't have to do this, but I just put paper towel over top of it. You never know. It's floating around your air in your house. Again, I'm a little bit anal with that, but okay, so what do we got here? 2 liters of hot water, which is a lot, that's enough. Maybe I'll start filling this while we go here. Now, what I'm going to do first is add in my dextrose. So I'm just going to pour that in. I know that it's 700 grams. Okay. Now, take your spoon. We're going to stir that up real good. I think I'm going to need a little bit more water here. So, I'm going to pour this little kettle in here. Add a little bit more water. Okay. One more time so we have enough water to rinse out the can. Okay. Put this in here just to cool the temperature down a little bit. We don't need this boiling hot. We just need it warm enough that it's going to dissolve all the extract and get it mixed in really good and dissolve all the sugars. So here's my light dry malt extract again. Now what I do is I put it in the bowl first. The bag with the steam, sometimes you can get it stuck to the bag and all wet and stuff, so I don't like to do that because, again, this stuff's really, really fine, easily dissolvable, and has a really high fermentation rate, so I like to use that just about every batch. So there we go, we have it in our bowl, and again, nice and easy to pour now. And if I do have some stuck around the edges, I've sanitized this bowl already so that I can put some water in here and rinse it out. Okay. So we're just going to pour that in there. Actually, that's not too bad at all. Put that on the boil. Turn on the right burner. Make sure you turn on the right burner. Made that mistake a few times. So we're going to stir this really, really good. Got some good steam going in there, you know, so it's dissolving really well and getting rid of any chunks. And again, because that light dry malt extract is so fine, it sometimes likes to bunch up, you know, so you really got to make sure that you stir it really, really good and break up all those little chunks. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not, but see how the sugar's all stuck around the edges? I like to get every drop. So, what I've done here is just a little bit of water. Now you can use just tap water. I have an RO system, so I've always used the RO water. I have it, I may as well use it. Some guys, you know, go to the store and buy bottled water. I have it on my tap, right? So the RO system's nice. Thus far, I've been really, really good here. Again, tap water out here is fine. I live in southwestern Ontario, and our tap water is really, really good. Just because we've had the RO system for so many years, I'm just so used to it that I like it. So, oh yeah. Okay, so that dissolved up really nice. I've got about, I don't know, 6 liters of water in here now, maybe 5 liters. Yeah, 5 liters. So we're going to leave that filling. It's nice and warm, and now it's time that we're going to pull out. I don't know if you can see me over here, guys. I'm going to pull out the can from that hot water. Put it here on the counter. Now what I have is sanitized can opener. Ooh, looks like it's going to give a little bit of a pressure back here. So here we go. So now we just open this up. Right to the edge. There we go. Put that over here for cleaning. Now, it didn't pop up for some reason, so I'm going to use my little knife here. Pop that up. There we go. Put that away. Okay, so because it's been in the water for a while, it's nice and easy to run. It's a little bit warm, so I'm going to use a towel. I like to leave my lid attached. Some guys take it right off. I leave it attached. Again, you're going to, as you go, find little things that you do differently, and that's great. You know what? We all have our different ways of doing things. I'm just going to stir this as I go here, adding it. Let it drain off a little bit. Okay. And I'm also going to use my spoon. Again, you can see that. Use my spoon and scoop out as much as I can. That is some thick stuff, which is good. Oh, I got something on the edge there, so I'll clean that up. Okay, so that hot water is boiling. It's almost there. Clean the edge here. If anything, you're going to use paper towel, just because it's clean, right? So I can use that to clean that edge up. So here's my can. My towel, just in case, because you're going to need that. And we got some hot water here. Okay, so I'm going to just pour that in the can. Okay, fill it just about up. Now I don't know if you guys remember, but I sanitized the top of this can. So what I can do is take my spoon out, stir it around, and I can also take the lid and stick it right down in there. Okay, so the lid gets cleaned off too. I like to kind of just, dip it a little bit. Okay, now my little knife again, and bring that lid up. Now, it's almost all clean, that lid now. So I'm able to take my towel, because it's really hot, don't burn yourself, and pour it over into the ferment bucket. And look at that. I don't know if you can see how clean that is now. Ooh. We're done with that. Okay? So again, let's just give this a really good stir. It's hot, so be careful. Okay, so make sure that nothing's on the bottom. Smells nice. I really like the smell of brewing beer, like the wort. Yeah, it's one of my favorites, that's for sure. Okay. So I got a couple liters of cold water. Well, it's not really cold. It comes out of RO. It's just room temperature. So I'm going to dump this in here. Because all we need to do now is fill this up to the 20-liter mark, 23-liter mark. And as we go, we want to make sure that the temperature's adjusting right. Now, I can't use tap water. I don't use tap water. So my tap water, the water I use for my RO, isn't really cold. So what I've resorted to and found that I can do is I sanitized a bunch of small Tupperware containers, filled them with RO water, and froze it. So I have a whole bunch here, little ones. I've basically used up all of my wife's little Tupperware containers. I hide them in the back of the freezer, so they're not glaring right there. So stir this some more. We'll get an idea of where our temperature is. Let's get this back there. Hasn't quite hit that level yet, so what we're going to do is we're going to add another couple things of I'm going to add in a couple things of ice here. So what I like to do, or what I tend to do, is take some warm water just around the edge, keep it from the top, just on the bottom, so that you don't get that water in there. Not that it matters, it's tap water, it's good. But I just do that to loosen it up a little bit. And then, there it goes. Okay, there's one. Now I usually do about 3 at a time, 3 or 4 at a time. Because then I can get a good idea of where I'm at, how much more I need to add. And I don't get too many in there because I don't want to have any ice cubes left over. And another thing, I almost forgot. There's another thing I do for some cold water. That's RO because I use my filtered water. But maybe you're going to go to the store and get a bunch of bottled water, and then you need to cool it, like get it cold. So you can freeze it. Now this one's not coming out, so we'll leave it sit for a little while longer. This one will. So there, I've got 3 in there. I'm just going to stir that around. Okay. I got a couple more liters here. Now, if it's your first time using your brew pail, you want to get an idea of where the 23 liter mark is. So I measured it out so that I know that this line, actually, there's a line on the top of this fermenter here that shows the 23 liter mark at the 5 gallon mark. 5 imperial gallons, not US. Okay? So, anyways, what I have, as you can see here, there's one of the stick-on thermometers or temperature gauges. So I can actually see where I'm at, you know. Right now we are sitting at, hang on. Where's my phone? There it is. I'm using one of my kids' iPads to film this, so I hope it works good. Right now we're sitting at about 87 degrees, so that's way too high. We want to get it down to between 70 and 80 degrees. I like to pitch my yeast around 78 or 79 degrees. And then downstairs in my basement where I ferment, usually it'll range between 73 to 75. Again, this is summer, end of summer, and even with the central air running, it still keeps a good temperature downstairs. I really wish that I had everything all set up downstairs and ready to go, because at the end of all this, when I get it all filled up into temperature and pitch everything, the yeast, and get it all sealed up, my airlock put in, I have to carry this 5 gallons downstairs and put it on my fermentation shelf. But that's, you know what, I'm a young man, I can still do it. Okay, so actually we're not doing too bad here, we're cleaning up as we go. I got some more RO water kind of running here. It's behind the pail, but I don't know if I can get it out here where you can see the tap running into it, but anyways, yeah, it's filling up. So what I've also done is I sanitized the hydrometer tube that I have, the test tube, as well as the hydrometer, so that I can take a sample, see what the original gravity reading is going to be. Then I can make note of that. This is just a suggestion I'm going to make to you if you're just starting out and you want to make sure that you keep things consistent, so that when you have a batch of beer that comes out and you're like, wow, that is fantastic beer, you can go back and find out exactly what you did so that you can do it again. So I have a notepad that I take notes about every batch. What I've done, the sugars that I've added, exactly the weight of the sugars I've added. I even go as far as what temperature I've pitched my yeast at, what temperature it ferments at, and the original gravity. And then as I go, when the bubbling slows down, I can take a test and put the date I put the test and say, okay, on Friday it tested at 1.012. I'll check it a couple days later and it's at 1.010. So it's still fermenting. Now, when it stops fermenting, you'll take a test 2 or 3 days in a row and the gravity won't change. If you get to that point, again, I'm not going to get into the whole 2-stage brewing and fermenting. I do the 1 stage. I'm not kegging or anything right now, I bottle it. So I like to have a little bit of yeast left in it when I bottle it so that it can use the priming sugars, produce CO2 and carbonate itself. And if I leave it sit too long in the primary fermenter, what I find is the yeast isn't as active and it takes a whole lot longer to carbonate the bottle and the beer. So again, once it sits for like 2 or 3 days where the gravity doesn't change, I bottle it. Put my sugars in. I will do another video about bottling at another time, and I'll show you exactly how I do that. And then once it's bottled, I leave it sit for a week, and at least a week, and then basically what happens is it clears right out. I have never had an issue with beer not clearing. It sits for 5 days, 4 days. It's clear as a bell. I can hold it up to a light bulb and read the writing through it. It's fantastic. So again, I've had no issues. After a week, I put it onto my shelf where it sits. If I want to throw a couple in the fridge, I do that. And then I just keep a couple in the fridge, you know, every day. And if I want to have a beer, it's there. But I don't put a ton of beer in the fridge. I leave it sit downstairs, you know, so it can age and get better with age like we all do. I put about a gallon, or no, not a gallon, 2 or 3 liters of water, RO water that I use, and I put it in the fridge like a week ago. So I just leave it sit there. So now when the time comes, I have really cold, you know, fridge cold water that I know I sanitize that container, and I can now throw that in there and be confident that it's going to bring that temperature right down. And actually, we're not doing too bad here. Those cubes that are in there are doing a really good job bringing this down. So I'm actually going to add this from the RO tap. I have a couple liters here, and I'm getting at about the 14 or 15 liter mark. Okay, and I'm just going to keep stirring so that those ice cubes can do their job, you know, and mix in and really cool that temperature down. If I'm talking too much, leave a comment. I mean, I'm trying to keep the dialogue going here because, you know, I've watched a lot of brew videos now. I sit and watch YouTube channels all the time, you know, and there's guys out there who will just basically do what they're doing and not even talk a bit, you know. So it's cool to see it, but my preference is I like the videos where Craig from CraigTube or I've watched his videos because Craig suggested him, and he talks a lot too, you know. He kind of gives the lowdown, the step by step, exactly what he's doing, you know, what he's thinking, and tries to explore the options that, you know what, everybody's situation is going to be different. This is exactly what we do right now, and we can change things up, you know, and we'll explore that as we go. But, you know, at least saying, hey, you can do this, you don't have to. But again, just keeping that dialogue going. Leave me comments. We're almost done here because as soon as this bucket's full and the temperature's right, I'm going to pitch my yeast. We're right around 84 now. So I'm going to add this because those ice cubes have now melted. So I'm going to add this cold fridge water. Oh yeah. Okay, keep stirring here. Smelling really good. You know, I hope that you guys get into this brewing thing and enjoy it as much as I do. I have a blast doing this. I really love it, you know, and I know everybody's not going to. But I think I've discovered a new passion of mine, you know. I really like this beer thing. And having something that I made with my own hands, you know, and in my own house, and having a decent product to taste and drink and to share. Again, any of my friends that have tried this beer, all the batches I've done, I have done IPA, lager, cerveza, dark lager, English bitter. You know, I'm trying to basically try them all, see what I like best. Right now, I'm loving the IPA. I really am. Especially, I had a batch that I didn't hop up at all, just straight, you know, I think I used brown sugar actually. Brown sugar and dextrose. And just the straight kit, you know, kit and kilo, or, well, it was actually a little bit more than a kilo of sugar, however. It was just a straight kit, you know, and I didn't do the hop thing. It was fantastic beer, it really was. Okay. Another one. I'm at about the 20 liter mark, 19 or 20 liter mark. So again, we're getting close. And I'm at 79 degrees. So I know that I'm good to go now. I can pitch my yeast. So I'll come back once I'm at that point, okay? Okay guys, we're back. I've got the last of my water to add here. I'm at 79 degrees. It'll probably go down to 78 by the time I pitch my lid. That's perfect. Okay, so there's the 23 liter mark right there. Okay. Yeah, just a little bit more. Just to offset any gravity tests I'm going to take. You know, it's like 200 milliliters. Okay, so now I'm going to give this one last real good stir. And something I forgot to mention that I usually do while I'm waiting for my temperature to come down, because I was adding water a whole bunch this time, and I didn't have it all in there and have to give it a cold bath in order to get the temperature down. But if I'm ever doing a cold bath, what I do, I leave my spoon in there, and I take my lid. Now it's got a hole in it for the airlock, right? So now I can just stick this on top and put a piece of paper towel over top of the hole, just to keep it, you know, sitting while I'm waiting for the temperature to come down. So it's got the lid on, you know, it's not going to have anything floating in there. So that's something you can do. Okay. Here's our lid. Wow, look at that. We're at 78 degrees. It's perfect. So we're going to pitch our yeast, give it a good stir, put the lid on, put the airlock on, and away we go. So here we go. Got scissors. I'm going to dip these in the hot water over here. Yeah, we're just going to soak it for a minute or two here. Okay, give them a good shake. Wipe them off with some paper towels. Okay, here's our Coopers Kit yeast that came with it. Just going to cut the top off here. And we're going to pitch our yeast. Oh, that's interesting. It's got some different color yeast in there. Must be a cerveza thing. There's a couple different types of yeast in there, but that's cool. Okay, so we're just going to sprinkle this on top. Now again, because I stir, I know some guys just like to leave it sit on top and let it do its thing and rehydrate. I stir it in. You know, again, I haven't had any issues. And yeah, I tend to stir it in. So, you know, one of these days I'll get a tripod thing so that I can actually give you guys, you know, first person view type thing, and you can actually see what's going on in there. I don't really want to move the camera too much, but that's okay. I'm going to show you guys the top, then I'm going to stir it up and I'll come back, okay? So here we go. So I don't know if you can see that. The yeast is just kind of sitting on the bubbles. Okay, so I'm going to stir all that up, give it one last stir, and then we'll put our airlock in, okay? There we go, guys. All that yeast is mixed in. Giving it one good last stir there, just to get some oxygen in there, you know. That yeast. Now I'm done with my spoon. I don't need to sanitize anymore. Stick it in the sink. My sanitized lid. Make sure it's on there good and tight. Almost hurts the hand. Okay, so now that that's on there, oh, I forgot to take a gravity reading before I pitch my yeast. I'll do one now and just pour it back in, okay? I like to usually do that before the yeast is in there, but because I'll throw it back in, I'm not too worried. No touch. Okay, so we'll just take a little bit of a reading here. Now it's already got that cerveza color. Alright, okay, so we're just going to take a look here. Oh, you guys can't see me, I'm sorry. Okay, hope you can see this. Of course not. Okay, so I like to give things a little stir there, you know, spin it around as I'm checking on it. Now, 1.040. Okay, 1.040. So there you go. I'm going to put my little thing here and pour it back in. I'll just pour it through the hole because I've already got it nice and sealed. Being careful here, just pour it back in there. There we go. Alright. So now our airlock. I'm going to put the airlock in. Just put it together. Okay, I like to do it separately so I don't put the little thing inside yet. We'll stick that right down in, make sure it's got a good seal. Make sure you like turn it, you know. Okay, and then we put our little piece here inside. Now all we need is a little bit of water, which I've got right here. Pour some water in there. And there we go. There we go. Take our little lid, snap it on, and away we go. Hey guys, so here we are down in my brew dungeon. This here was from the first batch of cerveza that I did, actually. So nice Mexican cerveza. I don't know if you could see. Ooh, nice, clear. It's a little hazy right now because obviously it's cold. But there's a snowstorm going on in there. I don't know if you can see that. Yep. Wow, that's good. Again, a nice refreshing beer. Set that there. So I brought it all downstairs. So here it is. This is the one we just did. We got it all set up. We're sitting at 77 degrees now already. It's coming down. Okay, so our airlock, we'll just give it a little push here. Make sure that, yeah, it's working good. And actually it's going to suck in there, so I'm going to give it a little bit of a break. We got a good seal anyway, that's for sure. There we go. Put that back in there. Make sure it's got a really good seal and it's not going to suck any water in it. There we go. Okay, so that's all set up. So I have 3 batches of beer going, and 2 of the fermenters are the same. So what I tend to do is I put a little label on top to tell me exactly which beer it is, so I know when I started it. Okay, so what I've got going here is a Morgan's Dark Ale. Okay, so that's been going for 6 days now, I think. So it's just about done. This is an English bitter. Sorry, you know what? This has actually been going for 8 days now. So we're going to let it another day or two and bottle it. Now this one here, this is a Coopers English Bitter. I did this one 5 days ago, maybe 6 today. Anyways, 5 or 6 days ago, and it stopped bubbling 2 days ago. So it's just been sitting there. I did a gravity test and it's showing 1.010. I'm going to leave it for a couple more days. I'll test it again. If it doesn't change, I'll bottle it. It tastes really good. I tried it. Instead of pouring the sample back in there from the hydrometer, I just take a little drink and see how it is. So here's our new batch, Mexican Cerveza, little label on top. Now, I don't put my labels and stuff on top at least until after like 3 days. I'll just leave it beside because there's a chance this could overflow the airlock. So what I tend to put on top for the first couple of days, I just put some paper towels up there. It doesn't have to look pretty. Put it around there. And if it does overflow the airlock, it'll soak up into these paper towels, and then you don't have a mess all over the place. I already had that happen. Beer everywhere. Okay, so obviously, I don't know if you can see up here, there's the Coopers IPA kit. That's going to be what I do next. So as soon as one of these 2 comes out and gets bottled, I'll probably do a video about the bottling of the one batch of these. And then once that video is out, I can show you guys, and I'll do a video on the making of my Coopers kit because I'm going to hop it up real good. Okay, so that's coming up next. Anyways, that's it, guys. See you next video. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Like it, comment, or, well, thumbs up. You know what I'm talking about. It's YouTube. I hope to do a whole lot more of these. I hope you like it. Again, your feedback is perfect, and I want the feedback just so I can learn as I go. My battery's dying, so I gotta go. Cheers. Drink good beer. And most of all, have fun doing it, okay? See you guys.